Hello, and welcome to the Property Flip Formula. This comes compliments of REIKnowledge.com. Knowledge from the trenches. Tap into the minds of seasoned real estate investors at REIKnowledge.com. We're going to start the video off with a myth buster. The myth is that flipping is easy. Flipping properties is easy, and that you can make a ton of money from it. The reality is, the myth buster is, flipping properties is not easy, and it's especially not easy if you're trying to earn big money from each flip, from a profit. Let's take a look at what might make it easier. Your odds of success increase a great deal when you have a plan, a formula. However, the hard part is sticking to it. Not just knowing the formula, but actually implementing it and sticking to the formula. Before we get into that though, let's take a look at our supporters. Do you need money for your deals? Rather than go chasing lenders, why don't you have them chase you? Just go to fundingforproperties.com. That's funding, F-U-N-D-I-N-G, the number 4, properties.com. Fill out a form of what type of project you have, where it's at, what kind of money you need, and then you'll have lenders calling you. There's no cost, there's no obligation, there's no credit check. If you need money, go to fundingforproperties.com, complete the form, have lenders chasing you to use their money. Are you an accredited investor looking for passive returns? Our friends over at PPR Note Company have been investing in mortgage notes for decades. They're experts at what they do. They use accredited investor money to be able to make it happen. You can reach out to them at pprnoteco.com and they can show you the process and the returns you can expect. Are you a small business in need of a website, a do-it-yourself website? Rather than play with Weebly or web.com or GoDaddy or Wix, you should check out businessmasters.com. It's B-I-Z-Z-N-E-S-S Masters, M-A-S-T-E-R-S.com. We have a platform there that will allow you to choose a template that you want, build on it. Awesome sales tools to create sales funnels, autoresponders, webinars, videos, all kinds of hundreds of different types of tools, all for one low cost. You can go to businessmasters.com and check it out. Do you have a product or service that our readers or our listeners would be welcome to hear that they could use? Send us an email at hello@fuel4business.com. That's hello@fuel, F-U-E-L, the number 4, business, B-I-Z-N-E-S-S.com. Share with us what product or service you have, and we can chat with you about making it available to our readers. Do you have knowledge and experience that's been gained from hands-on deals in the trenches? Would you like to share that knowledge and experience with our readers and our listeners? Again, reach out to us at hello@fuel4business.com. That's hello@FUEL, the number 4, BIZNESS.com. Share with us what experience you have, and we'll follow up with you and chat about how we can make that, your experiences, your successes, your mistakes, available to our readers so they can learn. Lastly, do you know someone who could benefit from reading our free newsletter, REIKnowledge.com, watching our videos, or participating in our monthly virtual events? Share the knowledge. Share our contact information with your friends and family. Now, let's get back to the flip formula. The smart way to work this formula is to calculate the flip that makes sense, to work it backwards, starting with the ARV. Yeah, that's what I mean, backwards. Why do you start with the ARV? Because that's the one figure in the calculation that you have no control over. You can't make that number up. The market decides that number. So we start with the ARV. Let's list the parts of the flip formula that we need. The ARV, which is, by the way, after repaired value, what you're going to sell the product for when you're done. The exit costs at resale. the holding costs, the rehab costs, the financing costs, the closing costs when you purchased it, the rehab contingency, which is those things that you overlooked or forgot about when you were putting together your scope of work for your rehab. Your profit is a number in there, and of course the maximum purchase price. Now these are a lot of items and quite honestly a lot of costs, but they're what is required in every single flip. So let's take a look at an example. Let's assemble the formula. We're going to use this example starting backwards. We're going to say the after repaired value on this property, it's a single family home, is $200,000. Our extra costs are going to be about $14,000. Our extra costs, of course, are when we sell the property, we have to pay some service fees on our side of the HUD, and also what we call bring to date of taxes and water and sewer for the period of time that you owned it that haven't been paid. Then you had holding costs. Holding costs are things like utility bills and maybe insurance or things of that nature that are required whenever you're doing your rehab. You have your rehab costs of $55,000. And then you have your financing costs. In this particular case, we've worked that in, but we're going to look at it both ways, if it were cash purchase or financed. And then we have our closing costs at purchase, which is $5,000. Once again, you have closing costs of recording fees, title insurance, local municipality transfer fees, and so forth. Then you have a rehab contingency. Typically that's 10%, and again that's $5,500, which is 10% of our rehab costs. That's for things that you overlooked or you might find during the rehab that need addressed. We've factored in our profit into the formula. It's already built in. And then that brings us down to our maximum purchase price of $73,000. How do we get to the maximum purchase price of $73,000? Simple. We started off with the ARV of 200, and then we started subtracting all these costs. Exit, holding, rehab, financing, closing, contingency, our profit, and that brought us down to a maximum that we can afford to pay for a property that's going to incur all these costs and be sold for 200 grand. The maximum we can pay is 73 grand. If you get it for less, then that just means you increase your profit. If any of these costs in here blow up to be more than what that's noted there, then you make less than 30K for that profit. So the important part is you want to keep these costs in line. The keys here, of course, our extra costs are our realtor, commission, bring to dates, our holding costs, our utilities, fuel, rental of equipment, so forth, financing costs, lenders fees, points, interest during the period of time that we had use of the money, and closing costs are your local recording fees, title insurance, and things of that nature. So let's look at the percentages in this flip formula. If we add the purchase price and the rehab contingency together, in this scenario, they come up to 133.5. If you divided that figure by our ARV, which in this case is 200K, that means our cost for purchase and rehab of this particular property is 66.75% of the ARV. The ideal target figure is 65% or less loan to value. Loan to value meaning loan to after repaired value. So in this case, it's 66.75, pretty close to 65%. It's safe to say that there's room for profit to be earned there. Our extra cost, in this particular case, we're figuring 7% for commissions, realtors, commissions, and bring to dates. Our closing costs, when we purchase it, can average between 5 and 7%. In some markets, a little higher, in some markets less. It depends on what the local municipality calculations are. And in this scenario, our purchase cost alone was 36.5% of our ARV. Remember, our purchase price was a maximum of $73,000. So if you divided 73,000 by 200K, it's 36.5% of the sell price. When we're finished with it is what we paid for the property. It's simple mathematics. So the flip formula will work, but it will only work if you stick to the formula. If you alter any of the percentages in overpaying for the property, overspending for the rehab, then the figure that will most likely be altered in the formula is the profit. Remember, you can't control the ARV. You can control all the other numbers. So stick to the formula and it will work. Sticking to not paying more than 70% maximum of the ARV for the purchase and closing costs of the rehab is not easy, and in most cases requires buying properties that are off market. In other words, ones that you're not involved in bidding wars where you're going to overpay for the property. If you find a property off market, you stand a much better chance of making the formula work and making a larger profit. So let's take a look at cash versus financing on this particular scenario. On the left-hand side is using cash. If we were to use our own cash with no financing, we paid $73,000 for the property, $5,000 for closing costs, $60,500 for rehab, including the contingency, $5,000 for holding costs. So our total out-of-pocket on this deal would have been $143,500. No financing, our cash, $143,500. Same deal on the right. Using financing of 85% of the purchase and 85% of the rehab, our out-of-pocket would be $20,025 plus closing costs of $5,000 and all the other holding and financing fees of $17,500. So our total out-of-pocket using our money and other people's money would have been $37,525 if we were to finance it. On the left, $143,500 if we did not finance it. Can the project make profit? Well, we kind of built it in, didn't we? We put in there as a cost our profit, $30,000. So as long as you stick to the numbers of the cost, don't overpay for the property, then the chances are high that you can earn a profit. If you don't deviate from the formula, and if the ARV isn't lowered by the time you get ready for market, then you should stand to be able to earn your profit. Now let's do a comparison on the profit. On the left-hand side, remember, we paid cash. So our sale price was $200,000. Our exit costs were $14,000. The total it cost us to get this property ready for sale, including buying it, rehabbing it, everything, was $143,500, and we had $5,000 in holding costs. So if you subtract all those figures from our $200,000 sell price, we earned a profit of $42,500, which is 29.6% return using your cash of $143,500 exposed. On the right, if you leveraged your money and used financing, remember your exposure using financing was only $37,525. You sold it for $200,000. You bought it for $73,000. Total combined other cost was $97,000. Our profit is $30,000. And remember, we built that profit into our numbers as one of our costs. So if we got our $37,525 back and an additional $30,000 earned, we made 80% return on our money using a combination of our money and other people's money. And that's pretty much the flip formula. So the key there is remembering 65% or less for cost of purchase, rehab, and everything included on your ARV. Factor your profit as a cost right into the numbers. Work your numbers backwards, starting with the ARV that you have no control over. And if you stick to the formula, common sense tells you, easy mathematics tell you that a profit will be earned as long as the ARV doesn't change and you stick to the formula. So would you like to tap into the minds of seasoned real estate investors, learn from their successes or their mistakes? You can do that by subscribing to our free newsletter at reiknowledge.com. To be spam compliant, when you do subscribe, within 24 hours you'll receive a confirmation email. That email may go into your inbox, it might go into your spam, but you need to find that email, click on confirm before we can start sending you our newsletter. That keeps us compliant with spam ruling. So make sure you check your spam folders within 24 hours of the time you subscribe at reiknowledge.com to our free newsletter. Join us monthly for our virtual networking meeting. We have a knowledge and networking. It takes place each month. You can find us at meetup.com, and you can do in the search bar, once you go to meetup.com, search for our group. Our group name is called reiknowledge.com. Join the group and you'll be alerted of when and where the event takes place each month. It is a virtual event, which means you don't show up, you show up on camera. You get the opportunity of gaining knowledge and networking with investors from all over the country. It's awesome. If you can't find us at meetup.com, can't find our group, just shoot us an email over at hello@reiknowledge.com. We'll send you an invite. See you at the next meeting. Remember our supporters. If you need money, go to funding4properties.com. That's funding, the number 4properties.com. Fill out a form, no cost, no credit check. Get money for your deals. If you're a passive investor looking for great returns, go to pprnoteco.com. They'll be able to hook you up. If you need a website for your business, go to businessmasters.com, BIZNESS masters.com. For a low monthly fee, you can build your website with all kinds of awesome tools and have a great looking site for almost nothing. If you have something to share with us or our readers, we'd be happy to hear about it, whether it's a product, service, or your knowledge and skills. Shoot us an email to hello@fuel4business.com. That's hello@fuel, F-U-E-L, the number 4, business, BIZNESS.com. We thank you for your time. We hope that you enjoyed it, and may all your flips be successful ones. Once again, check us out at REIKnowledge.com. Subscribe to our newsletter, as we are powered by our readers.